This is in your child's lunchbox right now. In school lunch. Every lunch day. Every week. Government serves it. But the World Health Organization classified this as carcinogenic. Same category as cigarettes and asbestos. And it's destroying your child's health during critical development years. This is processed meat. The most ubiquitous protein in Asia's school lunch system. 800 million Asians consume it daily. Most are children. School systems serve it as primary lunch protein. Parents trust government food safety. Children have no choice. But the health consequences are severe and documented. Today we're investigating 3 of Asia's most popular processed meat brands. Spam, local budget brands, and premium brands. What we discovered is disturbing. All are WHO carcinogenic. The expensive brands cost 4 to 7 times more than cheap brands. But they contain identical carcinogenic risk. The sodium content establishes childhood hypertension. By the end of this video, you'll understand why processed meat in Asia's schools is a cancer and hypertension crisis. Spam is American. Hormel brand. In Asia, Spam dominates processed meat with 35 to 38% market share. 450 million cans sold yearly. The brand is iconic. Every lunchbox. Every school cafeteria. Every convenience store. The marketing positions it as convenient protein. Classic lunch meat. Trusted brand. But here's what you need to know. Spam is classified as WHO Group 1 carcinogen. That means definitive carcinogenic classification. Same category as cigarettes. Same category as asbestos. Same category as plutonium. The classification is not possible or probable. It's definitive. The carcinogenic mechanism is documented. Spam contains sodium nitrite. 140 to 160 milligrams per can. In the acidic stomach environment, nitrites react with amino acids. They form N-nitroso compounds. These compounds are directly carcinogenic. They damage DNA. They cause colorectal cancer. The cancer risk is quantified. 18% increased risk per 50 grams of daily consumption. A typical school lunch serving is 40 to 60 grams. One lunch portion exceeds the 50-gram risk threshold. The sodium content is extreme. 790 to 820 milligrams per serving. The WHO recommendation for children is 1,300 to 1,500 milligrams daily depending on age. One serving of Spam is 53 to 63% of the daily allowance for a child. Most children eat multiple servings at lunch. That's 1,500 to 1,600 milligrams from Spam alone. Plus salt in other foods. The sodium intake for the day exceeds safe limits from school lunch. The meat content is only 40 to 50%. The rest is filler. Soy protein. Corn starch. Gelatin. Water. The product is labeled as meat. But it's 50% filler. Parents believe they're feeding their children meat. They're feeding them processed chemistry. The school system integration is comprehensive. Schools serve Spam in official lunch programs. Government mandates it in some countries. 260 times per school year minimum. That's 260 carcinogenic meals annually. 12 years of school equals 3,120 carcinogenic meals. The cumulative carcinogenic exposure from school lunches alone is massive. The brand trust is exploited. Hormel's 86-year history creates assumption of safety. The convenience positioning appeals to schools and busy parents. The price is affordable. But the WHO carcinogenic classification is being ignored by every entity involved. For children consuming Spam from school lunch, the health consequences accumulate. The cancer risk is documented. The hypertension from sodium is documented. The harm is knowable and ignored. Local canned meat brands are various regional brands. Thailand's Meeting and Frig, Philippines CDO and Delimondo. China and Vietnam regional producers. Combined they have 30 to 33% market share. 380 million cans sold yearly. The brands are ultra cheap. $3 to $8 per can. That's 1/3 to 1/5 the price of Spam. But the contamination is worse. The sodium content is 700 to 950 mg per serving. That exceeds even Spam. Some brands reach 950 mg. That's 41% of a child's daily sodium allowance in a single serving. The meat content is 40 to 50%. Same as Spam. The filler is 40 to 50%. Soy, starch, gelatin, water. Undisclosed on labels. Children are consuming fillers labeled as meat. The nitrite content is variable. 100 to 200 mg per can. The variation is the problem. Parents cannot know the carcinogenic exposure. Some batches are acceptable. Other batches exceed safe limits. The manufacturing standards are inconsistent. The regulatory oversight is weak. Quality control is inconsistent. Testing is minimal. Parents buying these brands have no way to verify safety. They're buying blind trust. With the poorest families buying the most. The sodium content is establishing childhood hypertension. 700 to 950 mg per serving is chronic high sodium intake. Children developing hypertension by age 10 from school lunch. Their blood pressure regulatory systems are being dysregulated during critical development. The growth rate is fastest of all brands. 15 to 18% annually. More schools adopting local brands for cost savings. More children consuming. The worst sodium brands are expanding into more schools. The affordability trap is severe. Poor families buying the cheapest protein. The cheapest protein has the highest sodium. The children in poorest families are experiencing the most health damage. Hypertension establishment. Carcinogenic exposure. Lowest nutritional quality. Premium luncheon meat brands are regional premium positioning. Alaskan in Philippines. Argentina brand in Philippines. Various regional premium brands. Combined they have 20 to 25% market share. 200 million cans sold yearly. The price is premium. $2 to $3.5 per can. The marketing emphasizes quality. Premium meat. Better nutrition. Higher quality source. Consumers pay more believing they're getting better product. But the reality is identical carcinogenic risk. The sodium is 750 to 880 mg per serving. That's 32 to 38% a daily allowance. Moderate but still significant. Between Spam and budget brands. The meat content is claimed as 50 to 60%. Higher than other brands. But verification is absent. Independent testing is not available. The claims are marketing. The actual meat content is likely identical to budget brands. 40 to 50% actual meat, 40 to 50% filler. The nitrite content is 140 to 180 mg per can. Identical to Spam. The carcinogenic mechanism is identical. The cancer risk is identical. But the price is 4 to 7 times higher than budget brands. This is the fraud. Parents pay premium for quality. They receive identical carcinogenic product. The higher price creates false perception of safety. The brand positioning suggests better ingredients. The reality is identical carcinogenic classification. The WHO carcinogenic risk is identical. The 18% increased cancer risk is identical. The school lunch consumption is 260 plus carcinogenic meals annually. Same as spam and budget brands. The health damage is identical. The school adoption is growing. Schools positioning themselves as offering quality by purchasing premium brands. Parents willing to pay more for children's lunch believing it's better. The children consume identical carcinogenic risk. The schools waste resources. The parents waste money. The World Health Organization classification is definitive. Not probable. Not possible. Definitive. All processed meat examined falls into Group 1 carcinogen category. The research is comprehensive. The evidence is conclusive. The mechanism is understood. Processed meat contains nitrates and nitrites. These are preservatives. In the acidic stomach, they form N-nitroso compounds. These compounds damage DNA. They cause mutation. They cause cancer. The mechanism is established. The cancer type is colorectal cancer primarily. But stomach cancer and other cancers are also documented. The risk is dose-dependent. More consumption equals more risk. But even small consumption increases risk compared to no processed meat. The documented risk is 18% increase per 50 grams daily. A school lunch serving is 40 to 60 grams. Children are consuming at or above the documented carcinogenic dose threshold. For lifetime exposure, the risk compounds. A child eating school lunch processed meat from age 5 to 17 is accumulating carcinogenic exposure for 12 years. 2,400 plus carcinogenic meals. The cumulative exposure is severe. The cancer appears in adulthood. The carcinogenic damage from childhood consumption manifests as cancer at ages 30, 40, 50. The school lunch choice at age 7 determines cancer risk at age 40. For parents, understanding the permanence of the damage is critical. You cannot undo the consumption. You cannot reverse the carcinogenic exposure once it occurs. The sodium content in processed meat is establishing hypertension in children. The chronic high sodium intake is dysregulating blood pressure control systems during development. Local budget brands contain 700 to 950 milligrams per serving. Multiple servings at lunch means 1,400 to 1,900 milligrams from lunch alone, plus sodium in other foods. The chronic exposure establishes hypertension. Children age 8 to 10 are developing high blood pressure from school lunch sodium. The blood pressure regulatory systems are being set at higher set point. The consequence is lifelong hypertension. Once established, hypertension persists. The child develops into hypertensive adult. The kidney damage from chronic high sodium is permanent. Hypertension leads to cardiovascular disease, stroke, heart attack, kidney disease. All consequences of childhood sodium establishment from school lunch. For children in poverty choosing budget brands, the sodium exposure is highest. The hypertension establishment is most aggressive. The health trajectory is worst. The preventable disease is being programmed into children by food choice. The school system is systematically establishing hypertension and carcinogenic exposure. 3 brands. 3 different price points. 1 universal problem. All WHO carcinogenic. All establish childhood hypertension. All exploit school system position. The expensive brands are fraud. The budget brands are worst sodium. The iconic brand is most trusted. 800 million Asians consume processed meat daily. Most are children. Most are in school lunches. Most parents don't realize the danger. They trust brand reputation. They trust government regulation. The reality is documented carcinogenic risk. If your child eats processed meat at school, you need to understand the cost. Not financial cost. Health cost. Cancer risk. Hypertension establishment. Cardiovascular disease risk. The child eating processed meat from school lunch for 12 years has significantly elevated cancer risk in adulthood. The regulatory system is failing. Schools serve WHO carcinogenic product. Governments mandate it. Health agencies ignore the WHO classification. The protection is absent. The solution is demanding change. Demanding alternative proteins. Demanding removal of processed meat from schools. The solution is parent pressure. Parent awareness. Parent refusal. Stop sending children to school with processed meat in lunchboxes. Stop allowing schools to serve WHO carcinogenic product. Stop trusting brand marketing. Demand better. Subscribe for next investigation. The cooking oil crisis is affecting every meal. Like this if you didn't know school lunch meat was WHO carcinogenic. Comment what your child eats at school lunch. Share with parents whose children consume carcinogenic school lunch. This is Asian Food Insider. Your child's cancer risk is too high to ignore.